Coming up on City Spotlight, we're on location for a new episode on Oakland. We'll talk first with Mary Ann Hanner of the Oakland Hindsboro Charitable Foundation about the foundation and how it's helped out various things in Oakland, such as the schools, library, and annual events in Oakland. Then we'll head out to the Independence Pioneer Village and talk with Traci Montgomery about this historic place on the north end of Oakland and the many activities and events that are held there. We're on location again here in Season 6, and we're talking all about Oakland here on City Spotlight. City Spotlight is supported by Consolidated Communications. CCI is honored to salute the cities and their leaders in the area, as well as providing TV, internet, and phone service to local homes and businesses. We live where we work and are proud to support the communities we serve. More information available at consolidated.com. And welcome to another edition of City Spotlight. As you can see, we are on location once again here in Season 6. We are taping here in Oakland on this new episode on Oakland, our third time featuring Oakland on City Spotlight. We're taping this first segment in the City Hall in downtown Oakland. And here in this first segment, we're going to talk all about the Oakland Hindsboro Charitable Foundation. And to help us out, we welcome first time to the program, Mary Ann Hanner. Mary Ann, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Glad to be here today.
Thank you very much. We look forward to talking with another community leader here in Oakland. We've talked with Mayor Michaels, George Edwards, Superintendent Landeck of the Oakland Schools, and Janice Hunt. So glad to have Mary Ann here to talk about the Charitable Foundation. Before we do that, you're a first-time guest to the program, Mary Ann. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I grew up in Oakland on a farm about 3 miles outside of town, and went to school here, went to EIU, and after EIU, my husband and I lived away from Oakland for a few years, but we moved back 43 years ago. Wow. Kids grew up here, been a part of this community, and involved in a number of different activities over the years.
Very good. You worked at EIU for a number of years. What's it been like for you as a native of the community of Oakland to have most of your life been able to stay close to home?
It has been a real blessing to be close to home. And my mother lives out on the farm, just a few miles away. I have a sister in the region. And just many family friends, and we're really happy to have spent our lives here.
Now let's dive in to talk about the Charitable Foundation here, the Oakland Hindsboro Charitable Foundation. Give our folks at home a little bit of history of the foundation and how long it's been around.
The foundation was started about 13 years ago with a donation from a local family in memory of one of their family members who had passed. And it has always involved community members. It's the current board has 11 members, all volunteers. Okay. We have no overhead. Right. We have only costs of postage and various things like that. I think the slogan or the motto of the association or the foundation says it all: private giving for the public good. So the purpose is for us to be a foundation that can raise money, receive gifts from people in the community, and then return those gifts to the community. We have, over the course of the 13 years, returned over $58,000 to the community in various projects. So we are a 501(c)(3) organization, and so that gives us the tax-exempt status, a charitable organization, so that donations are tax deductible for those who make donations to us.
What is it like for Oakland to have? What does it mean to have a foundation that helps back things?
Well, it's an entity that supports our community and in a number of ways. It's not just one thing that we do. We support actually 4 purposes: food programs, senior citizen programs, scholarships, and then a general one called community investment, which we have found useful in terms of defining. We need those to define how we want to invest in the communities.
Let's talk about some of the things that you've been able to help support, as you mentioned. I guess let's start with, obviously, the local schools.
We have given many gifts and grants to the Oakland School District. We always help with the musical. The musical at Oakland High School is fantastic. It's actually a 3 high school event now.
Yes.
Shiloh High School, Oakland
Yes.
High School, and Kansas High School.
Correct.
And the costumes, the producing, directing, acting, singing, it's all great fun for these communities. So we are always happy to help them defray the cost because they have to pay the royalties plus get the costumes. So it's a big event. We also support the post-prom event, which is usually it's held after the prom at a bowling alley or sometimes at EIU. Mm-hmm. And they raise money for that. We're always happy to be a part of helping that. A couple of years ago, there's a young man. He was at that time a 3rd grader, I think, and he has participated in a number of shows at Sullivan. And his teachers he was in a program, a show that was during the spring, and the teachers were very interested in getting the 3rd graders to Sullivan to see him perform. And we were able to support them in getting those students bused over there. So
and that's through the schools, and you've helped on the list that we have here. You have several other things in the community, community events, help support the 4th of July festivities here in Oakland.
Right. If you've never been to the 4th of July, the fireworks in Oakland, which is not usually on the 4th of July, it's usually on the weekend before.
Yes.
It's a fantastic fireworks display, and so we were able to assist the fire department that kind of organizes that and make a donation to that. We also, on that day, we gave away free ice cream to the people as they were gathered in the park and just gave them a coupon, and they went to the pool.
In some physical areas here in Oakland, you've helped support the Senior Citizen Center.
The Senior Center, several years ago, the foundation, before I was associated with the foundation, assisted the Senior Center with a large grant to replace flooring in the Senior Citizen Center. And then more recently, they needed to replace the front door. And so we assisted them with that project and with the purchase of the door and or the labor that they needed.
Some other physical areas that have been helped out by the Charitable Foundation is the library here in Oakland.
Yes, the library in Oakland is not tech supported. Wow. It is supported by donations and library cards, and so we have regularly supported the library with donations from the foundation. The library sponsors a reading program over the Christmas vacation and also a reading program in the summer. And we have provided funds to support that and Allison Henry here in Oakland usually directs that and organizes the reading programs at the library.
The little libraries, talk about that in the 6 different locations in the Oakland, Hindsboro area.
Right. That was a project that came to us from the school. Melissa Wheeler, who was a teacher here at the time, I think she's since moved on to a different position, but she generated the idea of establishing the little libraries, and the industrial arts teacher helped with students in his courses, built the little libraries, painted them, and got permission to support those throughout in 6 different locations. I can't tell you where all of them are. There's one on the square. There's one near the high school. I believe there's one near the Oakland Library. Right. There's one in Hindsboro. I think there's one in Borton, and maybe Isabel. So they really have spread those out across our area, which I should have mentioned, the Oakland Hindsboro Charitable Foundation funds projects within the boundaries of the Oakland School District.
You also help provide some support to the Oakland Food Pantry.
We do. The Oakland Food Pantry is operated by the Ministerial Association. We have provided funds to them. And through the food pantry, also food that's donated for the backpack program, for, a program that is managed by a wonderful group of young moms in this community called Moms on a Mission. And they make sure that those the food is packed and prepared for students to take food home on the weekends so that they, especially students who may not have access to a lot of food on the weekends.
We've talked about several things that you've helped with providing the youth here in the community. Talk about the scholarships you've been able to help provide.
One is a citizenship scholarship.
Okay.
And the students, they're all students at OHS, seniors in high school, and they had to write an essay about what it's like to grow up in a small town. And very insightful and interesting and competitive. It's often hard to choose the winner. We also have a partnership with a former resident and graduate of Oakland High School who's in Texas now, John Hopkins, and he provides funds, and it's matched by his former employee, to the Hopkins Family Science Scholarship, which goes to an OHS student. And we've been working on increasing the amount of our scholarships, but also the number of them. And we have, this year, we had 2 more scholarships sponsored only by the foundation. One was the foundation's agriculture scholarship, and that was also supported by some farmers and ag industry in our community that made donations to that, so we always appreciate that. And the other one is a scholarship sponsored by the Campbell family, who formerly owned the Oakland Farm Supply, which is now Berkey's, and that scholarship was given for the first time this year also. And just notably, the new Miss Coles County Fair Queen,
yes,
Alexa Kaiser, was a recipient of both of those ag scholarships this last spring.
And when you say recently, she recently just got that. So
she did.
Congratulations
Yes,
to her there.
Absolutely.
You listed the number of scholarships. I think we have down 7.
7. The other scholarships are sponsored by families who give money for a specific kind of scholarship. There's one from the Nolan family for, they could be health-related, community involvement, or a medical field that they're planning to go into. And all together last spring, we were able to distribute $9,050 to students in Oakland High School.
For all this work to be done, it wouldn't be possible without your donors.
That's right.
Talk
Thank
about
you. They are the people with the great generosity that helps us. We had a great fundraising program, will be almost 2 years ago, called Gift of Grain, where some of the farmers on the board, I think we have 3 or 4 farmers on our board, which is great, they approached members of their farming community and landowners as well as farmers and asked them if they would donate a number of bushels or a certain amount when they took their grain to the elevator, that a certain amount of that would come to the Charitable Foundation. So we did have a very good response to that. I think we made over $3,000 in that particular endeavor. So we have people who make memorial donations. We have, when someone passes, we have people who make donations to celebrate someone's anniversary or a birthday. We are very fortunate to have donors from across our community and people who hail from Oakland but don't live here any longer, and so we greatly appreciate their generous support.
We've learned a lot about the Charitable Foundation today here on this episode of City Spotlight on Oakland. We appreciate first-time guests of the program, Mary Ann Hanner. Mary Ann, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Coming up next here on City Spotlight, we'll change locations and we'll talk with Traci Montgomery of the Independence Pioneer Village. But first, let's take a look at some of the upcoming activities going on in Oakland. And we're back here on City Spotlight, this on-location episode on Oakland. As you can see, we are outside now. We've changed locations. We're just north of Oakland at the Independence Pioneer Village. And to help us out, to talk about this wonderful, beautiful, historic place, we welcome first-time guest to the program, Traci Montgomery. Traci, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Welcome to the village.
Thank you very much. It's a beautiful day here as we tape Very beginning of August. Folks at home are seeing this episode on Oakland in the first half of September, so we're taping a little ways out. Look forward to learning all about the Independence Pioneer Village. But first, Traci, you're a first-time guest of the program. Can you tell our audience at home a little bit about yourself?
Well, I have lived in Oakland all my life, and my folks live just on the north edge of town. My father's a Baptist minister and has been for 60 years.
Wow.
And so I've lived here, as I mentioned, all of my life. And at one point, my dad went to Tennessee. He worked for Young Radiator Company, and he went to Tennessee when the company transferred there. And he throughout the week would drive through the country, and he would find old log cabins. And so that's where he first had the idea that I could take one of those back to Oakland and set it up on my property, and it would give people an opportunity to have a place to go and just to spend some quiet time. And so he set out to do that, but discovered there were several that were available, and folks were kind of interested in selling them. So that's what started the whole process. And he has 28 acres here, and now we have 17 structures on this property for Independence Pioneer Village.
Tell us where we're at. We're just north of Oakland here, and this facility, or this place, all these structures have been kind of going 30 years, but give us a little history of where we are.
We are technically just north of the city limits. You wouldn't know that, but just about a mile from here is the Oakland city limits. But to be out here, when you first drive by, there have been folks who have driven past our entrance for years and never even...
Me too.
They never even knew that it was here. And we have people from other states that come and spend the weekend here. But we have been at this location now for about 30 years. And it just seems like, I like that term, a million miles from Monday. It just seems when you step into this place that it's a quiet environment, and it kind of takes you back in time to the 1800s.
In the name Independence Pioneer Village, folks at home may know that in the history of Oakland that it was called Independence.
It was. Oakland was actually called Independence in the very beginning, and there was another Independence in the state of Illinois. So during that whole process, that became Oakland, and the Postal Service came here. And at that point, there was a historian here, Helen Parkus, who suggested that if we had an actual village here, a log cabin village here, that it would be nice to name it Independence. And so that's how we arrived at that Independence Pioneer Village.
You have activities, events, reenactments, antique shows. I'll let you start wherever you want to there.
Yes, we've had several things here throughout the years at the village. We have Civil War reenactments, encampments. We've had bluegrass and barbecue. We've had some weddings here.
Oh, wow.
And we do a couple of programs as well that we'll mention. But as far as events, the newest event, we've had a mud run here in the past. And it was different than others in that here, in this setting, for a mud run, they go over the river and through the woods, so to speak. They run through there. They have to cross the creek. They can go under the covered wagon and jump over the hay bale and through the ditch. And so that makes it a little bit of a unique experience for mud runs. Our next one plans to be in the spring of 2020.
Very good.
But the most recent one that we have been doing is a primitive antique show. We had one last September, and there were almost 400 people that came through that time. And so from that, we went to this year in 2019, and we've had 2 already, and we are planning to schedule 2 more primitive antique shows. And they are amazing because it's such a good fit. I don't know why we didn't think of it sooner, but with the primitive antiques being in this setting, they just both come to life. The village does, the antiques, and it's a fun day, actually. It's not just a buying experience. It's not just a shopping experience. It is something that we have music in the village at the same time, and folks have come to shop but have stayed to visit.
As far as the antique shows are concerned, you have a total of 4 of them this year. We're taping here on August 2nd, so you've already had, tell us about the 4 that are transpiring throughout this year.
Okay, we've had 2 in the spring. There will be one on August the 24th, and then the next one on September the 28th.
And that'll be a couple weeks after folks are first seeing this at home. So tell us, when folks come to the antique show, whether I think you may or may not have mentioned already, tell us what they're going to experience or see at the antique show.
The folks that come in here are just wonderful to work with, and they have an appreciation not only for what they're providing for the public, but also an appreciation of what we have here. Sometimes people don't understand that even the windows that are in these cabins that are hundreds of years old cannot be replaced. And so when people have an appreciation, whether it's for the music or the buildings or just that time period, it is a good fit for us to come together on those occasions. So it was so much fun for us. We had a beautiful day last fall in order for them to come and shop and go through each one of the cabins. There are, as I said, 17 structures here, and every corner that we could fill actually had primitive antiques in it that were for sale.
So you filled up the 28 acres pretty
Yes.
well.
I believe there were 25 vendors
wow.
at that time too.
It's a pretty good ratio of vendor to acre there.
Yes. So, so even if they're not in a cabin, they were throughout the village as well, and it was the village was just, it kind of came to life.
You took the words right out of my mouth. September 28th is the final antique show here at the Pioneer Village for this 2019 year. You also have another event the weekend before, September 21st?
We do. It's called the Old Settlers Reunion. And back on August the 15th and 16th in 1894, they had what's called Old Settlers Meeting. And they wanted to honor the pioneers that had come here and settled this area for Coles, Edgar, and Douglas counties. And so it was kind of before all of the events for festivals would come, the Cheese Festival, the Broomcorn Festival, the Honeybee Festival. It was even prior to some of those, and at that time they built a cabin for the oldest settlers that came back for that. And this booklet tells us, this was an actual program, and it tells us about all the food that they prepared and how they dug a pit and 300-foot long tables, and there were over 20,000 people that came. And it was held just north of Oakland. Again, we're just a mile away from the city limits, but this was held just north of Oakland, down along the creek. And it was amazing. It's an amazing story just to read it.
My math is correct on the spot. That's 125 years ago. What a great piece of history you're holding there.
It is. And we are excited. We're not going to expect 20,000 folks and feed that many for this year, but we do want to just kind of commemorate that and see maybe where that goes for the future. We do want to have maybe cornbread and beans on that day, and some music and living history here in the village that day.
Fantastic. Also, tell us a little about a unique program kind of geared toward the youth called Unplugged.
Yes, we have these events that are scheduled, but we have a couple of programs that we like to do. One is called Unplugged. The other one is Visions of the Past, and they kind of do the same thing, but on different age ends of the spectrum. The Unplugged program is geared toward middle school, junior high for the most part, and early high school. The groups that we've had come in have been 8th grade students. And so they will come to the village, and for 3 or 4 hours, they put their phones away, and they'll experience cutting with a 2-man saw, and that block of wood that they have, they will wood burn their initials in that, and they get to keep that. Then we go to an open fire, and with cast iron, they'll make fried pies. And then they'll go to a cabin where they will get some experience in sewing. And from there, they go to a station where they have old-fashioned games like town ball, which I don't know if you're familiar with town ball or not. It's much like a baseball game, but they go the opposite direction with a large ball, and it can be played by any age. There's a game of graces that is from that period as well that was a little bit more graceful for the girls to play, and not just a boys' game necessarily that they would think at that time. And so we have that program, and it's been so interesting to watch the kids come in, and at first they think, oh dear, well at least I guess we got out of school. And yet after they've been here for a while, then when they leave, every time we've heard someone say, I didn't realize I could have so much fun without my cell phone.
Wow.
So that's been kind of exciting for us to do. And then on the opposite end of that, the seniors program, Visions of the Past, we have senior groups come in and they sit on the porch of the general store, and then we do things that they can watch from there throughout the village. That goes kind of down through the years. And one time we did one of those, and I happened to be sitting by a gal that used to, I believe she was a one-room school teacher at one time. And when she saw the kids come out of the schoolhouse, she wasn't really talking to me, but she said, okay, her dress is just above her ankle, so that must have been in the, she was calculating in her mind that period of time that they were trying to portray. So it was just a lot of fun, because when I have an opinion about when you say your grandparents or 1800s, everybody has their own idea of what that looks like. And so when they are here and we are kind of stirring up some of those memories, their own personal memory comes back to life. And so it's an amazing experience.
You mentioned 17 structures on the 28 acres of land that you're on here. Any stories or about a couple of them that you can share with our audience at home? Obviously, coming and checking out the place will be another way to find out. But for our audience at home that has never been here to the Independence Pioneer Village, are there any of these structures that resonate with you in any unique way?
So a couple of the cabins came from right here in Illinois. One was from Martinsville area, one was from Salem.
Okay.
Actually, we have one from Charleston as well. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of the cabins came from Tennessee. And so their names are the Hall Cabin, the Murray Cabin, the Larson Cabin. This one happens to be the Bartholomew Cabin, the Mattie Welch Cabin, the Larson Cabin.
Right.
And then we also have a jail here.
Yes.
We have a schoolhouse, and we have a general store as well, and a carriage house and a blacksmith shop. This particular cabin that we're at, this Bartholomew, was lived in by the Bartholomew family for a consecutive 150 years before we obtained it and then brought it here. And so some descendants from each one of the cabins has been here at one point or another, and it was nice to see them see it in its new setting. There was one cabin, the Barksdale cabin, where the guys were trying to get the back door squared whenever they got it. They put it back together and the door was off and they couldn't get it together. And so they did the best they could. And the Barksdales came back and they were looking it over and she said, yeah, it looks pretty much like it did, except for that back door. It's straighter than it was. It never was squared when they had it. So the whole event that they were trying to repair was never that way to begin with. So each one of them has a very unique history.
What does a place like this do for a small town like Oakland, Illinois?
I think in Oakland itself, we have the golf course, we have the swimming pool, to be no larger than we are, and the school itself, we have Berkey's, we have a Rutherford complex, and the depot. We have there's a lot of rich history right here.
Yes.
And so for the village to be so close to that is something that it really enhances our community with regard to keeping history alive. And so we're glad to be a part of that. And we welcome folks to come to the village, whether it's for an event or to schedule a program or just to stop by. We can do that by appointment. We're not open all the time every day, but if somebody wanted to see the village or join us for one of those events, we would love to have them.
Tremendous history learned here on this segment with Traci, and if folks were to come out, we certainly look forward to coming back here on City Spotlight, maybe do a feature down the road on it. Traci Montgomery with the Independence Pioneer Village here in Oakland. Traci, we thank you for your time here on City Spotlight.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
It's been a pleasure. And we thank all of you for joining us for this on-location episode on Oakland. Thank you for watching City Spotlight, and we'll see you next time. City Spotlight is supported by Consolidated Communications. CCI is honored to salute the cities and their leaders in the area, as well as providing TV, internet, and phone service to local homes and businesses. We live where we work and are proud to support the communities we serve. More information available at consolidated.com.